Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of eHeroes for those keeping count. This is episode 365, and my next guest hasn't been with us since episode 100. That was 5 years ago in 2020. So I want to welcome back Courtney Beauford, and he's from Vegas, sells a lot of real estate. Maybe we'll talk about real estate. Maybe we'll just have a great conversation. Who knows? But thanks for being here.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Real estate is always fun. Current events are always fun. What Rob's doing this week is always fun.
Let's
So
start off. Let's start off with a salute to Steve Sims. He was our
yeah, let's
buddy.
do
He
that.
was the one who got us together. We
Yep.
met. You and I met in San Francisco in 2019 at Steve's Speakeasy event, and it just I like watching your videos. I honestly do. It's
Well, thanks.
you've taken it to a personal level.
Yep.
Everybody's out there showcasing Vegas and this glitz and glam and why you need to do this. You're just I say like this every man on the street. You're out there just giving people the lowdown,
Yep.
and you give it a different perspective.
Well, I appreciate that. I think and it's funny too because kind of with when I met Steve at a seminar here. He was speaking at a real estate conference, and that's when I signed up for Speakeasy.
Mhm.
It was a couple of months after that. And oddly enough, I'd already been talking about doing video because video is just the wave of the future for any business. We all know that. So, having that first taste of it in San Francisco was really, really big for me. And I was terrible. I mean, I was uncomfortable. You worry about your voice, you worry about what you look like, you worry about everything. I don't have to worry about my hair, thank God, but you worry about every damn thing else, right? So it was uncomfortable for a minute, but that's where I realized that the reps make it easier. Just like anything else. You put in your reps, and all of a sudden it becomes second nature. Which is funny because now you put me in front of a camera, and it's like waking up in the morning. It's very easy. So I appreciate the kind words. And I have to owe that, and I owe that to Steve. Steve really taught me a lot. He taught me about really, I try to sell myself. I'm not even saying I won't even say I'm selling myself, but he always made it a point to say, show up as yourself and show people who you are. I remember the first video I did after Speakeasy. I sent it to Steve and I said, "Hey, man, what do you think?" He's like, "Yeah, I saw this. I was wondering when you were going to turn up." Now, to him, that's you're being somebody like, "Why are you so stiff? Why are you talking like that? Why do you look like that? What are you doing?" And so and it bummed me out at the time. I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I got what he was saying, but I didn't know how to be natural. I just didn't know how to just talk. And over time, it just became easy. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful for the time I spent with him. I met a lot of great people through Steve. I learned how to locate answers to things I didn't have, you know, answers to the questions I had that I didn't necessarily know how to before I met him. So yeah, it's definitely a blessing. And I met great people like you and Kristen and Ed and all the friends that I met at Speakeasy. It was definitely a positive experience for me.
Yeah, and I do miss Steve. I his yeah, he looks gruff. Looks like he could beat the shit out of you, but he'll be your best friend.
Yep,
You just spend some time with him,
yep, for
and
sure.
the world I think owes Steve a round of applause. He
For
brought
sure.
together an eclectic group of people that you'd think wouldn't fit. But,
For
I
sure.
I met the best of people in all his speakeasies. Now, granted, I only went to 2, but I knew from getting on podcasts and getting on his things that he was doing, I met some wonderful people.
You know what's funny? It feels like you went to like 4 or 5. I don't remember it just being two, dude. I just remember you were there. You were always there. It just seemed like you're always there. I'm shocked that it was only two. I did 5? Yeah, I did 5. 5 or 6, something like that. But that's funny. You obviously have a very big personality. You're very memorable, Rob, because it did seem like you were there every single time I was there.
But it was. I think the very first one I went to in San Francisco, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't.
Yeah.
Um, and to go through the tour at Tesla and then
Yep.
ManyChat, I was meeting people for the very first time. You
Yeah,
know,
you know the funny thing about that mini chat is that I didn't even know mini chat was. Now it's like if you're in the marketing game or in digital marketing at all, everybody knows mini chat. We're sitting in their HQ talking to their CEO years before it was a household thing. Like
yeah.
literally, and that's pretty cool, you
Well,
know?
and I look back and I'm thinking, had I just bought stock in Tesla in
Right,
2019 when I was there,
right.
I wouldn't have to worry about life right now.
Listen, we don't want to even talk about that. When I was maybe 18 or 19, I had a friend that moved up to Seattle to work for, at the time, a little book company that was selling books online named Amazon. It didn't sell anything but books. Literally remember that. I don't even think they were public at the time. If I had just taken, I don't know, whatever drinking money I had that month and bought some, I wouldn't even know you, Rob. You know what I mean? You'd be much below me. So,
Yeah.
hindsight's 2020, my man. But it happens to everybody. Look, Gary Vee talks a lot about how he messed up. Was it Uber? Yeah,
Mm.
Uber. He had the opportunity to invest early. So, listen, dude, we all have those stories. It's fine. It is what it is, right?
But let's transition and talk about investments because here you are
Sure.
in Vegas selling these. Some of these houses are just so grand. They're just huge and got all the amenities.
Yep.
And I'm watching you do these videos and I'm thinking, wow, if only I could move to Vegas. And I really don't even like the strip. I've been there,
Right.
done that, don't want to do it again. But you're
Yep.
not even on the strip. You're outside and
Yep.
you're making Vegas more appealing than the strip is.
Saying Las Vegas is a strip is like saying Anaheim is Disneyland. It's not true. I mean, there's a full city there. I've lived here for 4 decades. I've been here 41 years. Last month, so this is home. I was a military, but I was born in Japan. I moved all over the city, but all over the world. But this is absolutely home. But I'll say about Las Vegas, the market, and just what you see from your perspective. We get a lot. You can get a lot of house here for the dollar. I think
Mhm,
that's great. We've done a lot to improve our lifestyle here. Restaurants, activities, sports teams. I mean, as a kid here, you were just told because we have gambling, you're never getting a football team. You're never getting a basketball team. You're never getting a baseball team. Well, we've got a freaking hockey team in the middle of the desert with a Stanley Cup. Who would have saw that coming? It's crazy, but this is the world that we live in, and I really love it. I love our city. And again, we have a lot of people moving here. Some of that's good, some of that's bad. But the bad part of it is that it's causing home prices to rise.
yeah,
We have a lot of Californians coming in with big bags of money, and that affects the market. The fires affected the market. Rates affected the market. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Every morning we wake up and there's something different, whether it's tariffs or just civil unrest. Even all of
mhm.
those things play into the market, and for good or for bad. So I always tell people these conditions are temporary, and to keep playing the game, the smart game. And I
Oh,
think,
let's talk about the game because
yeah.
a while back, some of the real estate laws have changed just because of
hmm
consumer protests. How did that affect you, or didn't it?
I don't know that it did. So there's buyers and there's sellers, right? There's people that know, that can see the opportunity, and then there's those that are constantly, will always be contrarian about the whole thing. I mean, when I started selling in 2012, was it 2011 or 2012? The average home on the market, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, was 120,000. But you could get something decent for 95, literally 95,000. That same $95,000 home is now worth 400,000, and our median home price is around 450. So those things have changed. But even when it was 100,000, people complained about that price. People will complain about anything, right? So you have that, which is why there are some of us that, again, they can see the opportunity, and some of us that don't. The opportunity now is that because rates are high, people aren't buying, right?
Mm.
Well, that also means there's no competition. We know rates are a temporary thing. So if you can squeeze yourself into a home here when you have no competition, yes, your payment may not be exactly what you want it to be. That can change over time, and it will. It's not even that it can, it will. It's just a question of when, right? And so those things we can kind of predict based on economic indicators, and just time, and hopefully get you to a position where it's not a 6.5% rate. Now we're at 5.5. Now your payment's a little bit less. Now you're in the home of your dreams, and you didn't have to worry about being outbid by some guy from Sacramento with an extra 100 grand that's not doing nothing in his pocket,
Well,
right?
and I think people are I want to I don't want to call them snowflakes. That's not the right word. I do think that they're a little conditioned to accept lower rates.
For sure.
Um, but when my dad bought his first house back in the early '70s, the interest rate was 12%.
Right.
And but he did it because he wanted the house. He loved the house, and then a few years later, he refinanced at a lower rate.
Mhm.
Nowadays, people are like, "Well, I'm not going to buy the house until the rates drop." Well, then what? You missed the opportunity. You're
Yep.
building up equity if you're going to buy the house anyway. Oh, it's just
The minute those rates drop, everybody and their mother's gonna run for the streets, and that house that you wanted to get for 450 is now gonna be 530, and you're not gonna be able to afford it. That's just the bottom line, and it's kind of a bummer, but you heard it here first. I'm sure you've heard it many times before. It's you have to take advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself, or it's
yeah.
on you. I mean, that's just really what it is.
And I'm not saying, hey, Vegas is the world of gambling and you got to just take your chance and roll the dice and buy a house. You got to do your due diligence. But so what if the interest rate's a little higher? If you can get that house of your dreams, get it.
Yep, 100% for sure.
Right. But I people are scared. They
They
don't.
are. And that's a fair thing to say. They are scared. It's not without tangible, r- realistic, true to life reasons. It's not like they're making it up. It is unstable. Things are a little weird. Things are different than what we see. But what's also true is that 2 and 3% rates were not reality. They never were. And the funny thing is, you're talking about your dad with that 13% interest rate. Well, that's fine because houses weren't $400,000 for a basic home with a one-car garage, right? So that's the difference, as far as that goes. But yeah, man. Yeah, people are just not seeing the opportunity, but that's just what it is. I think over time, I think as we lower rates slowly, because that's the way it has to be. You see people barking on the news every morning. Jerome Powell's a knucklehead. He hasn't done this. He hasn't done that. He drops those rates like you want to down to 5%. Guess what it's going to do to your home price? It's the
Hmm.
same thing. Now your dollar is much weaker. I mean, you get what I'm saying. So pick your heart. This is the healthy way to do it. It's almost like losing weight. Well, if you lose weight too fast, you're gonna have all this loose skin, and nobody wants that, right? That's even worse than than being a fatty, right? you want to be tight, so you got to go slow, man. That's the name of the game. It's
Well,
funny though.
speaking of game, in the background,
Mm-hmm.
I have a chess set, and I
Yep.
I know I know your personality. You're very strategic,
Yep.
but you're also fun, because next to your chess set is a guitar.
This
And
is true.
and, I know that when you go out there and you meet clients, you're very strategic, but you're fun with them. And
Yep.
and you showcase all the great things that the home has to offer without pressuring them into buying.
Yep, for sure. A lot of what especially since I moved to higher price points, um, once you get into the million plus range, it's more, a lot of the times it's about the lifestyle. It's about the kids, the school they want to put their kids in. It's about the activities around the home that they're in. It's
Mhm,
about safety. It's about all of the things that we worry about, and a lot of it circles around the kids. But lifestyle, golf, amenities, health and wellness, parks. These are the things that people care about, which is why Summerlin is our number one neighborhood because it provides that lifestyle, and that's what people want. But it does come at a premium. That's just what it is. Everything does. That's the American way. God bless. So if
Well,
you want the good stuff, you got to pay for it.
but the summers in Vegas, I mean, 300-degree heat. I don't know if I could deal.
Listen, it's 250. What are you crying for? Truth be told, man, I've been here a long time and I'm still not used to it. I don't love summer because I wear a suit every day, whether it's 112 or 80. I'm wearing a suit every day. So it's not always comfortable. So I'm looking for, like, right now, this is the best time because another month, actually, usually right around Halloween, like the week
Mhm.
after Halloween, all of a sudden the wind kicks in and the heat drops, and then we start getting a little bit of a chill, which is great. And then by Christmas, and for us, that's like 50s. Like to you, that's summer still, I'm sure, in Pennsylvania.
Now, I know 5 years ago we talked, and you were into jujitsu. Are you still doing
Yep.
that?
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to go tomorrow. I haven't been going a lot because I've got a few injuries. I've got two torn rotator cuffs. I've got a plate in my foot. I got one in my leg. I'm a mess. I'm old. Listen, I'm 53. I'm an older man. I started when I was 43, I think. And it's hard on your body, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It keeps me young, and it's a lot of fun. And I meet a lot of people there. That's the thing about jujitsu. I've met millionaires. I've met doctors. I've met attorneys. I've met authors. I've met musicians. It's a really cool uh, community. And
Well,
and the funny thing
and
is,
that and it levels the playing field. Nobody's above each other.
no,
You're all on the same, common ground,
yep.
and you're battling, one on one. And nobody says, "Well, I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer. I'm better than you." Wait till you get pinned to the ground, and we'll see who's better than who.
That's honestly one of the biggest things, and a lot of the times you don't even find out what people do or who they are or even their name, quite frankly, until after you've trained with them, multiple times. And that's the fun part because you're right. You put that gi on, it doesn't matter what you had on before you walked in the door. Everything's on there's a saying that we always say: the mats don't lie. You can
Mhm.
say whatever you want; these mats aren't going to lie. You come in here, you put the gi on, we're going to find out if you are who you say you are, right? Very quickly. So I enjoy it. And it's not even so much that the I like combat sports. I've wrestled. I started wrestling when I was young. So I've grappled in some way my entire life. But the thing I love about it today as a 53-year-old professional that runs his own business is uh the stress relief of it. Like it's a really when somebody's trying to choke you or break your arm, you can't think about the deal that's going south. You can't think about that appraisal that came in low. You can't think about, your next deal or anything. It's just a way for you to kind of really let go of all of that. And it really truly is gone. And in those moments, because I can't even go to vacation without having to take work with me. It happens, anybody in real estate will tell you, you want to up your business, just go on vacation. Everybody and your mother's going to call you because that's just how it is, right? Murphy's Law. And so I find that jujitsu is a place where I can leave all that stuff at the door and I can come in there, hang out with really good people, man. I would be hard pressed to give you three or four people that I don't like that I train with or have trained with over the last 10 years because they're just really good people. They just
Mhm.
are. And so I'm grateful for those folks too. I train at Simgo Jiu Jitsu here in Las Vegas. I'll give them a little plug because it's one of the best gyms. It was actually one of the very first MMA gyms in Las Vegas many, many years ago. The gentleman that started it is a guy named Mark Lehman. He's in the UFC Hall of Fame. It's a big deal for us. So I definitely enjoy it. It's good. You should get
Yeah.
out there, do some, Rob. You'd like it. You'd enjoy it.
You just wanna beat me up, that's all.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Nothing like 2 men in pajamas, holding each other on a mat.
But we'll go back to price, and one of the things that I enjoy watching your videos because you don't, um, express any emotion when it comes to price. Okay, a lot
Right.
of people will say, "Wow, it's $1 million home," or it's a $300,000 home.
Right.
You know, you're throwing numbers out like it's not a big deal. This is what it
Well,
is.
because I'm talking to a specific audience. When I'm in that house, and to your point, I'm in $300,000 houses. Not very often because there's just not that many $300,000 houses anymore. But whether I'm in a $500,000 house or an $11 million house, it's to me, it's just a house. Number one, and number two, the people that I'm talking to about that house don't balk at that $11 million price. They just don't. And quite frankly, I don't either. Over time, and that's kind of the bummer about selling luxury as well, is after you look at a few mansions, man, you come home and like your house isn't all that cool anymore. You know what I mean? I don't have a big pool. I don't have a pickleball court in my backyard. I don't have a 1,800 square foot casita, but some people in this world do. You would be shocked if I. You would be shocked to find out how many people have $20 million in their bank account. Just like it's no big deal, and you've never heard of them, and and you've never heard of their companies, but they do very, very well. It's interesting, and I'm finding that a lot of these people are super, super cool, just like anybody. I mean, selling to people that have financial challenges versus people that don't, it's just a different set of how do I want to put this? Issues. I don't even want to say issues, but just as a different set of circumstances. The person that's financially finance conscious, we may have trouble getting them approved and getting them to the finish line. We may need seller contributions. We may need them to kick in on. I may need to kick in a little bit of my commission. I mean, whatever to make the deal work. That kind of. But on this luxury side, money's not an issue. But they have to have X number of bedrooms, and they need a laundry room upstairs and downstairs. And guess what? Grandma lives with us, and she's in a wheelchair. We need an elevator in that house, right? Those are the different things. So really knowing your customer and knowing your client and knowing what they need, that's what I sell. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily sell a house. I mean, I sell a house, obviously, but I'm selling the
You're selling
collection of needs that person
right.
needs,
You're
right?
you're selling convenience is what you're selling.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
comfort.
comfort, yeah.
Correct.
And yes, luxury may be attached to some of those words, but to those who have money, it's not to them, it's not luxury because 'cause
Right.
they're always elevated to be bigger, buy better. Uh,
Right.
for them, it's suits their needs.
I almost don't even like the word luxury because it's so overused. You can pop on Instagram right now and see some knucklehead in some $600,000 house saying, "Look at this luxury this." Well, luxury doesn't start at 600,000. That's not really what that price point is. Everything's not luxury, right? Let's call things are what they actually are. That's a big bugaboo of mine. But like I said, everybody's got their set of circumstances, and really to be successful in helping those people out, so that they will remember you when it's time to buy, or when their friends buying, or when they need to sell, is to make sure you hear them. Like when I go into a listing appointment, I'm more concerned about what's your timeline. Why are you moving? What do you need for this to be comfortable for you? Are there any other moving parts that we need to talk about to make this work for you? And then we talk about the house, right? Because that's really the thing that's important. The house is just a vehicle.
Mhm.
This is really what I need to concern myself with. So I go right to the couch. I don't look at the house first. I talk to my client first and figure out what they need, and then we talk about how we can sell the house, what we can, how much we can get for it, and move from there, that kind of thing. So, and the other thing about it, Rob, is I like it. It's
Mhm.
fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy putting a deal together. I enjoy beating people out on an offer. I love it. I love the competitiveness of it. Um, but I'll tell you, it's sometimes people always ask me, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, living the dream and the nightmare at the same time, because it sometimes is. It can put you on such a high, and it can have you up in the middle of the night wondering about your life choices. You know what I mean? It's a trip, but it's a lot of fun.
How do people find you? Where do they go?
You can find me on Instagram, B underscore Courtney Beauford. I'm on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube, just my name, Courtney Beauford. You can find me on TikTok. Everything's the same. That's, Steve taught us that. You look the same everywhere you are. So Courtney Beauford will get you in all of my social media and other things. Yeah,
And yeah, and you still have your website?
I do. I do. It's CourtneySellsLasVegas.com.
And not to
Yeah.
be confused with Courtney Sells Vegas. I think there was 2 of them, and I made the mistake of clicking on that, and I'm like, "That does not look like."
You know, it's funny you say that. So we just switched to a new CRM to a company named Follow Up Boss, and you're 100% right. There is a Courtney Sells Vegas. You know what? Shame on you, Courtney, whoever you are, for using way too close of a name because she. So when I go into this new platform, they thought I already had an account, so they delete this poor girl's account, and because they thought it was a duplicate. And then during the training, they find out, oh wait, this is a different last name. This poor girl has lost all of her information. I felt so bad. Well, I didn't feel bad, but that's their problem. But like, wow,
Yeah,
Courtney is not a very typical name. The fact that there's another Courtney South Las Vegas or South Vegas is pretty hilarious. I'm still mad at my mom
this
about
is why you don't mess with Courtney.
this. Is true. This is
You took
true.
her to the mat.
Listen, the universe works in my favor always. Too funny.
So what advice would you give to anybody moving to Las Vegas?
So the advice I would give you is this, and this is one thing I do. A lot of my business is relocation, and the reason why it's a lot of my business, and I love relocation because they're focused. Those people are focused. You can get people that'll be looking with you for months, sometimes years, and not pull the trigger.
Mhm,
A person relocating is focused on finding a place to live, finding the neighborhood that they love, and I always do the exact same thing. When they come into town, I put them in my car, and we go. We start in Lake Las Vegas, and we work our way all the way around the curve of the city because I want them to know everything there is to know. They
mhm,
might love the prices in Cadence, for instance, which is a part of Henderson. Well, and Cadence is great, great pricing, new construction, really nice community. In fact, it's ranked in the nation as one of the top HOAs. However, it is a long way from the mall, a long way from the strip, a long
mhm,
way from a lot of businesses. So if you're not looking for a 45-minute commute to pretty much anywhere, that's probably not going to be the neighborhood for you unless your life is in that area. You understand? So, I give people an overview and then I let them decide. And 9 times out of 10, I'm typically right about the area that will work for them because it's going to depend on where you're going to work, where you want your kids to be, that kind of thing. So, there for us in Las Vegas, big part of who we are HOAs and what's the word I'm looking for? Master plan communities. So there's Summerlin, which is the number one. You've got Green Valley, which is arguably number one or two. You've got Mountain's Edge, you've got Anthem, you've got all these different communities, and they all have their pluses and minuses. You know, you can pick and choose from those and decide what best suits you. So I would say do
so,
your homework is number one.
I know all about HOAs because I wrote a book called, "HOAs Can Go to Hell."
Mm-hmm.
Not to
Mm-hmm.
be thrilled with HOAs, but what's
Right.
the difference between HOA and master plans?
So an HOA is the rule set and the governing body for a master plan community. So, for example, a developer will build. For instance, Aliante is a master plan community. So within that master plan community, multiple builders will come in. So, for example, at the time it was Party, DR Horton, Lennar. All three of these builders purchased land within this set area. They all agree to share costs on the infrastructure to build it out, the streets, the roads, the all the things that are necessary to build in the area, right? Those that cost obviously gets passed on to the homeowner in terms of like a what we call lid a or SID, a special interest district. What that means is that you're paying each home, for instance, will pay $10,000 over X number of years, and it's something that they pay twice a year, right? So to cover those kinds of things. So in answer to your question, the HOA are really just the rules and the HOA board that runs the master plan, right? And that's a smaller thing. So, for example, DR Horton may have Jones Crossing, right? Might be their neighborhood, and there's an HOA for Jones Crossing. But the bigger might be Aliante. So Aliante is the main HOA, so they have a board and their own sets of rules. So
Mhm.
you could conceivably be in the neighborhood that has two HOAs, sometimes even three. Lake Las Vegas actually has three HOAs, depending on where your community is located. So choosing wisely based on the lifestyle that you're looking for is definitely
And
a
is
plus. And you,
that a big concern when people are looking for homes, or is that, usually the last thing they think about?
a lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people the first thing out of their mouth is, "I don't want an HOA." And I show them places that don't have HOAs, and it really depends on the part of the city. In the Northwest, there are lots of areas that don't have HOAs that have neighborhoods that are still beautiful.
Mhm.
But then there's places on the east side of town that don't have that situation, that the houses are, you got a guy next to you with a purple house, and that guy's going to affect your property value. It is. So I tell people, you can hate HOAs if you want to, but they are there to insulate your value as well. So, people don't like out seeing a lot of cars on the street. HOAs regulate those kinds of things.
Mhm.
Whether your yard is kept up, HOAs regulate those things. So it's a plus. It's a good thing. And I always pitch it that way. I'm like, you might not like it, but it is a necessary evil. And quite frankly, for the most part, of course, there's crazy HOAs and crazy people that run the board sometimes. But for the
Mhm.
most part, if you're doing what you're supposed to, you don't even think about that stuff. Like,
Right.
who does? Usually those are one offs. That's the exception, not the rule typically. I found.
Yeah. Yeah, the stories that you see on YouTube and and the media, you
Oh,
would
we've
think
had
that
some
every
scandals
HOA is
here.
bad, but no, I there are some good ones.
There are, and like I said, some of them are really. Most of them are there to protect your property value. That's just the bottom line. To keep your family safe, to keep the roads clean, to keep the neighborhood looking good. And who doesn't want that? I mean, if you don't want that, I don't know what to
Oh,
tell you.
as we get older, we wanna go into properties where we don't have to maintain anything. We don't have to mow
Yep,
the yard, don't
a
have to paint,
hundred
don't have to paint.
percent.
So, sometimes it's just easier to pay someone, an HOA to deal with all that crap.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. In most HOAs, there's common areas and then there's the personal property. So they're not going to take care of your personal yard, but definitely like the corner parks, and we're seeing a lot more of that. Neighborhoods have their own park within the gates of that particular neighborhood, common areas where green belts, things like that, where the HOA has to maintain those things. And of course, you're going to pay them to do that. You want your neighborhood to look good, right?
Where you just they hire one trash service so you don't have trash companies all over the place.
Yeah. Well, for us, we only have Las Vegas as for public services, and that's it. So you got one to choose from, and it stays with the property, and then that's just what it is. But you guys have more than one. You guys have you in
We
the on the
can,
East Coast?
where I live, we can pick and choose who we want as our trash service. So
Really?
on a given week, there's probably 5 or 6 companies that go up the street and, it's a
That's
fun.
insane. Yeah, we so the way it's done in Las Vegas, public services handles our recycling and trash, and your sewer is attached to your AP and your parcel number as well. Meaning that when the house it gets sold, all that stuff automatically gets transferred, and it's handled by the city. Nobody, you don't get to pick anything. That's just so the trash day for everybody is the same day in that neighborhood. You don't have 15 different trash trucks. That sounds like a freaking nightmare. Jesus, what's wrong with you people?
I don't know. I live in redneck Southern Lancaster County, and we just kinda make the rules up as we go.
Clearly, what kind of pricing do you guys get out there?
Well, my trash service does, unlimited. I could put whatever I want out there, and
Nice.
it's $100 every quarter. So it's
So
not
literally,
bad.
like you can drop a couch out front, and they'll come get it.
I think the couch might be,
The
an
the end
issue,
of
but
tolerance, right?
I have they give you this big giant trash dumpster thing, and I bought a couple more, and so I usually put 3 of these
Yeah.
with all kinds of crap, and they just, you know, they'll charge extra for a mattress or something else, but by and large, it's been, well, a couple years ago, it was $75 a quarter, and then after
Mhm.
COVID, everything's just started going up. They had to pay more people, pay people better, and
Right. Yeah,
but
COVID changed a lot of things. Some things for the good, some things for the bad. I like the fact that we can handle business on Zoom now. That's
yeah,
that's one of the best
it's
things ever.
you know, I think Zoom has made things so much easier. I mean, this podcast is on Zoom,
Yep.
but you know, before that, it was Google Hangouts. And
Right.
although the technology was coming along, Google Hangouts was, to me, it was very glitchy.
Hmm.
Zoom has made things a lot easier, and now you can, if it's 200 degrees in Vegas, you don't have to go outside. You can just get your client on Zoom.
It's true. It's true. But it also helps, like if I've got somebody relocating from Arkansas, we can see face to face. We can have a real conversation. Something for me, listen, I don't love text. Text has its place, but for me, text is to reinforce the conversation that we had.
Mhm.
So if we talk, I might double back and shoot a text. Okay, cool. Just so that we're clear, we're going to be doing this, 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 and this. Because I think a lot gets lost in the translation in text. People are so quick to take the human element out, and I don't think that's a good thing. I think it's important to inflection is important, intent, eye contact, all those things convey the message in a real way. And so I
Mhm.
think that, and which is why I use video in my business, because that's how people connect to you.
Yeah.
That's how they feel like they know you. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and
So
you've gone through homes and you video, your way through and you describe stuff and that gets people excited and they get to see, wow, that house is laid out. I really like that. And then you go to the next video and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool too. So they get
mhm.
an idea of what they like before they even meet you.
Exactly. The video is just to just say it is really just for the consumer to see if they want to pursue it further. That's all it is.
Well,
It's a
and it's
commercial.
also a trust builder because they get to
Yep.
meet you. They get to
Yep.
see your mannerism and how you act, and when they come, to meet you in real life, they're meeting the very same person that they saw in the video.
Exactly, and there's no need to sell yourself at that point because they
Right.
already feel like they know you. It's a done deal. I literally have to do nothing. It's
Yeah.
That's why I love that I've got that YouTube channel and I get people off of YouTube all the time, and they're the easiest sale. They already know. They know what I do every day. They know I'm out there. They know that I know the inventory. I'm in the house. That's how you found me.
Mhm.
So there's no need for me to sell myself. Now I just need to make sure to figure out what their needs are. Make sure check those boxes, and we're good. It's not rocket science.
So there you go, and this is what, makes Courtney an e-hero. This is why I keep wanting them to come back. I know it's 5 years, but
I'll definitely come back again, dude.
come
Yeah,
back again.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So, everybody go visit Courtney at Courtney Sells Las Vegas. Don't go to the other one.
Yep, yep. Don't do that.
And go to his Instagram, go to his website, learn about him because what you're going to see is somebody that gives of himself every single day, is the example, and puts a lot of effort into showcasing the properties that he's selling for his clients and showcasing the properties that you may eventually buy. So
Thank
anyway,
you so much, Rob.
go visit him and check him out on social. Friend him, connect with him, and
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Adios.
So, take care.